Today, what we want to talk about is putting yourself out there, also known as marketing. There's a myth that coaches say a lot of times. I don't know how to promote myself. I don't know how to market myself. And so that's a myth because I think most of you actually do know a lot about how to do this, but you just don't want to. That's probably one of the challenges. Or you may not see that you don't want to, but you resist it. Like, how do I get in front of clients? That's what we're talking about today. To get in front of all the people, all the clients. So one of the things you wonder about is like, how do I do it? How do I get in front of all the clients? Well, honestly, you can figure that out in just about 2 seconds. I mean, who do you know around you? Like, are there people around you? Because where am I going to find clients? Well, clients are people, and people are everywhere. Okay? Sorry to say it, but it needs to be said. Daniel, and you are about to watch a clip from our free podcast, The Coach's Journey, where we help you navigate the surprisingly difficult path of building a coaching business by people who are actually doing it. And we go live, raw, and unedited every week in our free Facebook community. Coaches Nation, welcome to another episode of the Coach's Journey podcast. I'm Daniel, and today what we want to talk about is putting yourself out there, also known as marketing. Sometimes it's a bad word for coaches. Sometimes it's a good word, but people are confused or don't know how to do it. Or sometimes they resist. So, if you're a coach and you've been resisting putting yourself out there or marketing yourself, today that's what we're going to talk about. And so, I want to break them. There's a myth. There's a myth that coaches say a lot of times. I don't know how to promote myself. I don't know how to market myself. And so that's a myth because I think most of you actually do know a lot about how to do this, but you just don't want to. That's probably one of the challenges. Or you may not see that you don't want to, but you resist it. Like, how do I get in front of clients? That's what we're talking about today. To get in front of all the people, all the clients. So one of the things you wonder about is like, how do I do it? How do I get in front of all the clients? Well, honestly, you can figure that out in just about 2 seconds. I mean, who do you know around you? Like, are there people around you? Because where am I going to find clients? Well, clients are people, and people are everywhere. Okay? Sorry to say it, but it needs to be said. It's because this isn't the real question, right? There's people in your list of contacts. There's people around you. There's people in your neighborhood. There's people from your high school. There's people on your Facebook. There's people in your phone contacts. So I always like to ask this question. If you have all these contacts in your phone, why don't you just go through and delete them all? And whenever I ask the question, they're like, no, I don't want to delete it. Why keep them? The reason we keep them is we know there's a potential connection with that person. Something important in the future might happen with this person. Or maybe there's some mutual benefit to having this relationship. Maybe that person will be a contact that we need. Maybe we'll be a contact that they need. That's why we have relationships, to mutually contribute to each other, right? So all these people in your list, I'm going to say every single person watching this has hundreds, thousands of people, most likely, thousands of people that they've come across in their life, in their lists. The challenge is that you're afraid to go to that list. You're afraid to go to talk about yourself and to meet the people that you haven't met and talk about yourself. That's why the real question is not how. It's not how. There's so many opportunities, right? It's more about the why and the what. Like, what are you going to do to put yourself out there specifically? Because why do you want to put yourself out there? Why are you trying to market yourself? Like, you're a coach. You know what your why is for why you became a coach. You probably had a moment like me where somebody transformed your life through some form of coaching, or you had a transformation of your own and you want to help other people have that transformation. If that's you, then you also need to recognize that you can't have that transformation unless you put yourself out there in that way. That to say like, hey, I can support people. Hey, I can support you, person in my contact list, person on my Facebook, person on my LinkedIn, person in my contacts of my phone, person from my high school, person from... So all the people you know, already know. This is people you already know. You have thousands of people in your network, most likely. And if you only have a few hundred, it's still a few hundred. And I would say, like, that's probably not true. You probably have more than that. So if you're willing to reconnect with all these people, you never know. These relationships that you have, you can nurture them and you can find clients. Yes, you can. And most of the clients that I get come from referrals or people I already know in some way. But part of the challenge is, how do I get them to become a client? I'm not trying to get them to become a client. So first myth is that everybody you meet, everybody you talk to, all these contacts you have need to become your clients. No, They do not need to become your clients. If you approach your relationships with, I need to get something from you because this is all about me and what I want out of this relationship, you're missing something important about relationships. Relationships need to be mutually beneficial. And honestly, everybody I reach out to from my past who I want to connect with loves it. Like when we reconnect and we have a conversation, it's just really fun. It's you're keeping your network warm. You're building your network. So one of the things I want you to take away is like you need to become a relational person more and more and more if you want to build a coaching business. That means become a super connector, a person who connects other people. That's all a super connector is. It's somebody who is a hub of their network, who reaches out and nurtures relationships, and who connects people to each other, and also to themselves, right? And so that is the first layer. Is like, how are you doing there? Right? Like, how do I get in front of all the clients? Well, you have to get in front of people. You have to be comfortable getting in front of people and pushing these relationships forward, like nurturing them, taking them to the next step. Just like, if you were dating, you put yourself out there, right? Sometimes people say like, "Oh, there's just no people around. There's nobody to date." And I think that's usually a failure of realizing there's people everywhere. Um, I'm not going to get into the debate about that, but I will say when you open your mind to the people around you and what they can bring you and what you can bring them, suddenly you become relational. So once you're relational, then you need to take it to the next step for people who need your help, right? So out of all these thousands of people I can even say hundreds, a certain percentage of them will need your help. How do you find those people? Well, you connect with a lot of people in your network. And when you find that someone out there needs support, where you can benefit, where you can bring a lot of value to this person, that's a great opportunity to say, hey, would you like support with that? So you can actually figure this out. I'm not saying it won't be hard, that you won't run up against your own resistance and the desire to like back away because like it's not that easy. It sounds simple, but not all simple things are easy because you haven't accustomed yourself to it. You haven't built the habits, right? Um, so if you tried all the things to meet all the people in your list, how's that going for you, right? I if you say, "Oh, I've tried all this stuff. I've reached out to my list. I've done that." Well, I'm confident you've given up either right away or too soon. Because once it gets really hard and you say, "Oh, this is not going to work," that's where the challenge happens. Usually, you try this for 2.5 months if you're a little bit more committed than the average person, and then you're like, "Oh, it's not working. I'm going to stop." And that's because in 1 or 2 more weeks, you would have actually gotten to the person. You would have actually nurtured that person enough to uncover that support need, and that person could have become your client. So I would ask you this, like, if you're going to measure yourself, how many connections are you building every week, right? Are you building connections with people? Are you connecting with people? Are you having conversations? Because each conversation isn't just a dead end. If they're not a fit for a client, you built a relationship. You've nurtured somebody. They might know people. So don't forget, you can ask, like, who else do you know? That would be aligned. Like, I always like to ask in my networking calls and my meetings with people, hey, how can I support you? And usually they'll ask back, how can I support you? I say, like, here's the kind of people that I'm looking for. My clients are typically like this. Or those kind of conversations are totally fine in a connection call. Um, they might self-identify, but you don't need to say this is about you getting them as a client because it shouldn't be. On the first call that you reconnect with somebody from your life, if they feel like it's all about you getting a coaching client, it's like, well, no thanks. I don't want to, that's such a weird call. Makes it very awkward. So you don't have to be awkward. You don't have to be needy. Um, but you probably are hiding behind the how. Like, how do I get in front of people? I can't. That's not true. You can you can figure out how to build connections with people. You can figure out how to have conversations. You can figure out how to nurture your network. It does take work. It takes time. And the longer you stay committed to this, the faster and easier it gets. So I just want to say that how is already available to you. Everybody knows how. You can go to Google. How do I, build my network? How do I get in front of clients? How do I do my marketing? There's a billion ways. The problem is you got to choose. You got to choose what you're going to stick with for a while. And what we really recommend is using your own network, building and growing your own network. That's really important. So to get in front of all the clients, most of their next $1 million is in the people you already know and the people that they know. That's really it. So I will ask you these questions. Are you connecting with people on a regular basis? And connecting means nurturing the relationships you have. Are you taking them to the next level? Are you inviting them to get to know you? Are you inviting them to a support call if they need support with something? If they're raising, let's say you know a lot about physical fitness, and they're like, I'm really struggling with my fitness, with my health, and you can say like, hey, what do you mean? And they can tell you all about it, and you're like, oh, you know what? That's actually an area where I specialize in helping people. If you'd like a little bit of support on that, I'd be happy to help you. They're like, yeah, I actually would. Then great. Invite them to a call for support. This is just a short connection call, but it's an intentional container where you can actually support them. In that call, you say like, hey, you know what? thanks for being open to support. Hope this call can serve you. What are you most excited about for having this call today? You're reminding them of the frame of why we got on this call. So part of the big how is being intentional about bringing them into the coaching containers when it's effective. So these coaching containers could be that connection call. Be intentional about it. When that connection, you could call it a qualification call or a brief coaching call where you're just clarifying what they need help with, what they care about, and telling them, like, here's how I can support you. Would you like to go deeper? If they have said like, hey, I'm excited about getting support in this area. You have this little call, and they're excited about moving forward with a little deeper, work, and not just excited, but also have demonstrated that they are ready to, and willing to invest, and they have done some work in this area. They've done time, energy, resources, money towards this problem. That's a good sign that some deeper work is necessary. So then you can invite them to a longer coaching call. And if it's not the right fit, that's okay. You just say like, hey, here's our recommendation. Here's a resource. Glad I could help you. What did you take away from our call? What was most insightful? They can tell you, and then that relationship can go back to normal. Normal. You don't actually have to offer everybody a discovery call. And that's okay. If they're not ready to move forward or invest, you might not want to waste your time. If it's not the right relational or energy fit, you might not want to waste your time. Most of the problem in discovery calls can come from these like initial exploratory qualification or connection calls that actually you don't do the homework that you need to do, because then you might bring someone into a discovery call that's really just not a great fit. You might even get hired by that client, and it's going to be pulling teeth. Or you spend a lot of time doing discovery calls for people that don't actually are never going to buy from you, which, there should be a certain percentage of people that you just offer discovery calls to if you want. That's fine. I do that. Even though they're not going to buy, that's okay. You're building goodwill. But I highly recommend most of your discovery calls should be with people that actually are in a position to invest with you. So again, this relational idea to get yourself in front of clients comes from tapping into your network and then getting on calls, because when they get on a call with you in coaching, you have to have the skills to have these conversations, to have these meaningful conversations, to explore depth, to be curious, to notice those support opportunities, to invite them to the coaching containers where you can actually explore that and determine a fit, invite them to those discovery calls, and then you can make an offer, like at some point. So we go into a lot more detail in our community, in our workshops. So if you have the chance to join us for those, absolutely do go to cmc.coach and come join our community. That's a free community, and you can find out more about when we do our workshops, or you can join our program where we support our members on making sure they know how to do this, but not just know how to do this, that they actually are doing it. And we talk about what's happening in the coaching market right now, right? Like, how did I make that offer last week and got accepted? How did we do that, right? That happens all the time in our community. Or I'm struggling with this. I can't figure out how to take people from those conversations in my network to that next step of that intentional coaching conversation. If you're struggling there, that's something we support our coaches on. And you might run into your own emotional challenges. That's really what it is. We avoid doing the work of talking to people when, even if we did some of the work of getting us in front of them, right? So if you're worried about the how, I want you to think about the why. Why do you need to build your coaching business is the same reason why do you need to put yourself out there and get in front of people. If you are afraid to say what you do, if you're afraid to invite people to support them, you're never going to be able to confidently invite them. So I want you to just think about that, right? Um, so we say there's tapping your own network is the easiest way because these people already know, like, and trust you. But you can also expand your network by meeting new people. So that's the other way, is to just get yourself out there into networking environments or connection environments or on stages, whatever it is that you do, have a podcast, whatever you want to do for yourself. Make sure that the thing you're doing leads to people having conversations with you. That's the call to action. When it's appropriate, is to invite them to have a call with you, because that's where the magic happens, is on calls with you. Because coaching is, like I said, a relational business, right? Always. So that's another principle. Give them a way forward in the relationship or in the coaching relationship. Because think of this as like a big funnel. You have your whole network. You're being a super connector. You're building your network up. You're warming up all your connections as a general practice, sending out good energy to your network, connecting people who want to talk to each other. That's just a positive way to be an entrepreneur, but also a human. And then some of those people need to come closer to you in a coaching context. Make that intentional, make that clear. And then when that happens, if it's right, invite them to the next step. And we go through this whole sequence of steps in a lot of detail. So there's no reasons why you can't do this. So from the moment you meet somebody or the moment you reconnect with them, you can take them through an intentional designed process. And if you don't have this process thought through, this is one reason why you need to join our community, so we can help you with that. Or just do some homework, think through it. What are the different steps of that process? And if you've seen any CMC podcasts, we can help you even on the podcast just for free. We can't give you that personalized support that we can give you in our community, but we'd love to support you further. So if you like this podcast, and I want to remind you of some things we covered today, which is one, tap your own network. You have hundreds, thousands of people out there that you can nurture. And maybe not all of them are people that would be aligned. You can focus a little more on people who might be aligned. That's not a bad idea. But just get out there and enrich your network with connection. This can be short, 15 to 30-minute calls with people in your network. And the thing is, your network knows people. So don't forget to say, who do you know? And offer and ask for support. That's what a good network is. A network of people that can support each other. And every connection you have can be for mutual benefit of some kind. And it could be a coaching client, or maybe you need to hire them. Who knows? Step 2, you can also expand your network by meeting new people. So putting yourself in places where you meet new people. And then you gotta follow up with these people. Whenever you notice that this person is maybe a little warmer for support, then you can invite them to those intentional coaching containers. So that's part 2 of this. One is tap into your network, expand your network. Part 2 is invite people forward to the next step, give them the way forward into intentional coaching containers for the ones that are the right fit. And that is actually a simple process. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to do it without emotional resistance. It doesn't mean you're not going to resist that process of doing those conversations or knowing how to do them. But everybody knows how to do this at some level. So it's a matter of practicing and getting your muscles done. Muscles ready for the next level, the next rep. Keep on doing the reps. If you do these reps every single day, you will get better. You will 100% get better. No matter how good a coach you are, if you're missing the coaching skill set around how to get clients, which is a coaching skill set, all the sales skills are coaching skill sets. If you're missing that, that might be the place you focus next, right? Not the coaching skills you have after you get a client, but the coaching skills you have to get that client, which comes before, right? All those skills are part of the coaching skill set that you need. And this is where we specialize. We specialize in the coaching skill sets that happen before you get the client, because they're critical, because otherwise you're not going to get the client. And then you won't be able to use their other coaching skills and methodologies and tool sets in your coaching programs, right? You got to figure out the first part before so you can get them to sign up. And there are some people out there who actually really want your support. In your network, I'm sure, the people you know and people they know, there are certainly people that you can help. Absolutely. It's almost impossible for there to be nobody you can help. And people that need you too, who are actually actively looking for you. Find them, not as easy. Well, it's not that complicated. It's simple, but it's not necessarily that easy, because you have to stay and follow up. Follow up is the thing that you're probably missing, and we help with that too. So if you like this podcast, please send it to your coaching friends. And make a comment wherever you're watching this, whether it's on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever. Make a comment in there. We'd love to hear from you and hear your questions. You can come to our Facebook group at cmc.coach and put your question in there, and we'll get back to you. You can connect us with us directly on there, and we can connect and help support you in some way. Just for free, we do that in our Facebook community. So that being said, we'd love for you also to join our membership. We can tell you more about that when you join our free community. With that, hope you learned something today. Whatever you learned, please give it a post and share, because here at Coaching Mastery Community and on the Coach's Journey podcast, we are all about supporting coaches through that emotionally challenging process of putting yourself out there, leading people through that sales process, those coaching skills that you need, and then delivering an amazing coaching program with the coaching skills that you also need after you sign clients. So those are the 3 steps. Put yourself out there, and if you're not putting yourself out there, think about tapping your network, expanding your network, and then follow your sales process that we told you. Invite people to intentional containers, remind them why they're there, find out from them what they need, and then invite them to the next step in the process. And then lastly, deliver amazing coaching. That's the part you probably already are doing in some way, whether it's free or whether you have clients. But we want to give you a system to be able to do this reliably, sustainably, and systematically into the future, right? So, all right. Here from the Coaches now signing off from the Coach's Journey podcast, and all the best from CNC. We'll see you next time.